and welcome to When Life Feels Messy, presented by Texas Women's University Counseling and Psychological Services, or better known as CAPS. I am one of your excited, wonderful hosts, Ashley Barrera.
And I am your other excited and wonderful host, Erin Rasbeary.
Yes, and welcome to our very first episode.
Episode 1, whoop whoop!
Yes, thank you for being here. We really appreciate your support and just taking the time to listen and to be part of our very first episode.
Yes.
And to get us started, we wanted to share our mission statement for this podcast and corresponding blog, which is to empower our TWU community through education, development of awareness, promoting acceptance of self, and increase comfortability in discussing topics related to mental health.
Ooh, goosebumps.
Ooh, I like that.
I do. I like it a lot.
I feel empowered.
I feel very empowered.
Yes. So before we get started, we want to give a little intro of who we are, your hosts on this podcast. Would you like to get started?
Yes, because you don't want to just be listening to strangers. You want to kind of have a more personal approach to who we are.
Yes.
So, yes, I can get us started. This is Erin Rasbeary again. Hello, all you listeners. Something to know about me. So I am one of the licensed mental health clinicians on the Houston campus. So H-Town, whoop whoop.
Yay.
I'm not originally from Houston, but, I got here as fast as I could. But I am a licensed professional counselor associate. Hopefully we'll be fully licensed by next May.
Yes.
Ooh,
We're manifesting it.
Yes, manifest. I cannot wait. But I have been here at TWU since April. And it seems like just yesterday, but also the summer semester has flown by. I can't believe it's already August. We're about to go into the fall. But I am so excited to be here and be back in higher education. I really feel like higher education is my area. It's like my niche in the world, and every time I find myself straying away from it, I am like running back. So I am so excited to be able to offer mental health services to our TWU community and be able to do the various outreach things that we do, like this podcast.
Yes.
So excited to be here. And even just kind of giving a little bit more information about the types of topics that I like to cover and work with clients on. Would include, of course, women issues. I identify as a woman, right? So working through the various things that life has to offer in that category. I also identify as part of the LGBTQIA community, holding up the B category there. So working with individuals that are also identify, or maybe they're really trying to figure out where they fall in terms of their sexual orientation or who they identify as. Really like working with anxiety, depression, religious and spiritual trauma, body image, dysmorphia. So those are just like a few of the things. But so excited to be here, and now
excited to have you.
Thank you. I'll let you introduce yourself.
Yes. I am Ashley Barrera, the counterpart to the Houston CAPS team. I am also new to this Houston team, just started like 2 months ago. But I've been in practice as a therapist for about 3 years. So like Erin, I am a licensed professional counselor associate under supervision as well. And on the same timeline as you, hopefully to be fully licensed next May. I received my master's in clinical mental health counseling from the University of St. Thomas, and before that was at the University of Houston Clear Lake campus for my bachelor's in psychology. That's where my passion for counseling really grew. I took a senior class of Counseling 101, and I was not supposed to be in that class, but I wanted to take it as an elective, and I was like, this is for me.
Right.
Like,
the universe.
Yeah, the universe is like, you need to be in here somehow.
Right.
So that's where it all started. I have experience treating severe anxiety, depression, OCD, grief, and relational trauma. I really enjoy working similar to you with issues around women's issues, trauma recovery, grief and loss, anxiety and stress management, LGBTQIA issues. Excuse me. I had a candy. You know how it gets stuck in there. Identity development, diversity, the intersectionality of cultural identities, mindfulness, and my favorite, self-compassion. Embracing my own self-compassion journey.
Right.
Is at a high right now. So yes. Yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Thanks for sharing and being here.
Yes, I'm excited to be here. Part of why I love working for a TWU CAPS is not just the one-on-one client time, but what we're doing right now, this outreach, this promotion of mental health well-being, really fosters that love I have in the counseling profession. So I'm really excited to be here.
Yes.
Yay. And also, listeners, if you have any questions or would like to learn more about us,
right, ask away.
Ask away, send us an email, or we're also on the TWU Counseling website.
As of today. Wow, official.
Yeah, so that's a little intro about us. We did want to provide just an overview of the CAPS department, the services that we provide for students, what's to come with this podcast, the corresponding blog, and just really hitting on the importance of mental health and defining what is mental health and really going into how that impacts students across all college campuses.
Right.
So to get us started, we wanted to share
CAPS.
What CAPS has to offer for students.
Yes. So CAPS is, like we said, the Counseling and Psychological Services Department at TWU. And TWU, we have 3 campuses. So we are across all 3 campuses. Of course, Denton is the big campus. So we have, like a full office of clinicians. There's a lot more people that we work with on that campus. And then our Dallas and Houston. And we have our part-time psychologist, Dr. Rebecca Lapidus, who's at
She's the best.
She's the best. She's at the Dallas campus, and then we are in the process of hiring our new assistant director, who will be full-time at the Dallas campus, and then we will be fully staffed at the Houston and Dallas campuses. Yay!
Yes, and that would be amazing.
Yes.
Something also to note, as we're talking about the 3 different campuses and all the clinicians, we see and serve students across all the campuses, so you don't necessarily have to be on the Houston campus to see us.
Right.
Yeah.
We really it's like you pitch in, right? Like we're all team on deck. Is that the phrase?
All hands on deck.
All hands on deck. Okay. So we are serving students across our TWU community.
Yes.
Not just strictly our Houston peeps. So
we're definitely here for our Houston peeps, though.
Yes, we are. We are here. But in talking about what services does CAPS provide, we wanted to just give some information on what that looks like. So, of course, the most common thing that you're probably familiar with is individual sessions, right? And that's, you see it all the time in movies and shows, even though it's usually portrayed very poorly,
right,
and not accurately. You are meeting one-on-one with one of our clinicians, and you are coming to work on whatever it is that you need to work on, whether that's you're experiencing depressive symptoms, you are having, a lot of test anxiety and struggling with that. You could be having some sexual orientation issues and concerns, and you want to process through that. There's a lot of different things, right? We think of all of the life struggles that come up.
Correct.
Right? There's so many different things that you be coming to counseling for. So that would be when you want to meet one-on-one with someone. Another option that we have is couples therapy, which is a
Love.
really nice perk
Yes.
at a university setting that I don't think is very common across universities.
Yeah, it was not offered in my universities.
I don't remember it.
Yeah.
But the perk of it is that only one of you has to be a TWU student. So it's not even that both of you have to be to receive this service. So that's really nice. So if you and your significant other are, struggling with the relationship, or maybe you're just like, hey, we're doing good, but we want to be better. We want to learn better strategies for things. Like, this is a really great option for that.
Right. Love that.
Yeah.
Love that we have that for students.
Yes. Another thing is groups, support groups.
Yes.
So this is primarily done through the Denton campus and our CAPS office, because they have a lot more people, and they have people that are specifically like working on groups. And right now all the groups are telehealth, which is really nice because that means your Dallas and Houston peeps get to take advantage of that.
For sure.
And I hope that's something that continues in some capacity. But they cover so many different topics, like so many different things that if you are someone that would really benefit from just being in a room full of people going through similar struggles as you, that can understand on a different level, right, than someone who isn't familiar with depression and hasn't gone through symptoms. It's just really nice to just sit in a room with people and just be raw and felt heard and understood on a whole different level.
What I like about the groups that Rebecca mentioned yesterday is that they're closed. They're a closed group, so that means there's just a certain number of seats available, and so it's not so overwhelming, and you begin to build that trust with seeing that those group of people frequently. And no new members could join in like after it starts. So that's really nice.
Yeah.
To have with those support groups as well.
Yeah. And then it's not to say that open groups are not successful.
Right.
Because there are like AA.
Correct.
Super helpful that it's open.
Yes.
But there are certain groups that starting with people and that being the group that you build upon, you create that safe and trusting relationship together is so impactful for what you're working on.
For sure.
So that's an option. Again, our support groups are always the topics, the dates of them will be posted on the website. They're shared through our social media. So communication about these will be going out to students.
Yes.
On that. Another thing, because we are mental health professionals, is crisis services.
We do provide crisis services.
Right. It is a given in any part of the mental health world because everyone, first off, has a different definition of what a crisis is because a crisis is different to everyone, right? But if you are, let's say you're like, I really just don't know what to do. I'm overwhelmed. It could be like a natural disaster thing occurred.
Right. Those happen in Texas frequently. Or we got an example yesterday of a student did not pass their program. That would be a crisis moment.
Right. You are in crisis in that moment and you need services. And so we're going to talk more later about like specific crisis numbers and how that process works. But that is something that we do offer for working with students in our community, is providing just a sense of support and grounding to help you get back to a stable place. And then you're able to think more rationally about what are the steps to take in this crisis. Last two things that I wanted to discuss is the outreach, the consultation, the events, the workshops, the pop-ups.
Yes.
All the different things we do, like this podcast.
Exactly.
That are outside of the therapy room, right, or therapy group. And it is all focused on bringing awareness and advocating for mental health, right? And so we do this in various ways. We have a blog. We do pop-up tables. We have events. Like on the Houston campus, we're planning to have like a paint party with soothing tea and coffee, gearing up for finals, just to take a moment to advocate for your mental health, provide some self-care, right? Take a little break from that stressful studying. So all of these are examples of that. But this is just kind of a short and sweet snippet, right?
Correct.
Of the services that we provide. And even me talking about this does not even consume like half probably of what we do and all the different things. But hopefully that information was helpful to you to kind of understand what we do at CAPS more.
I think you did a really beautiful way of summarizing it all.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Compliment of the year. I appreciate that.
I just wanted to give a little info about how you would go about scheduling an appointment or seeking counseling services with CAPS. So just a reminder, excuse me, all of your sessions here while you're an enrolled student are free. They're already included in your student life fees. To receive services, you must be enrolled in at least one course in the semester. And so for like the couples situation, so you're interested in couples therapy, only one partner of the couple has to be a student.
Yeah.
And enrolled.
In one course. That's all it takes.
So there's different ways of scheduling an appointment. You can call the front desk at the Denton office to schedule an appointment.
If you want to hear a friendly voice.
And their number is 940-898-3801. Or if you would like a friendly email, you can shoot any one of us, Erin, myself, or the other clinicians that you can find on our website an email, and we would love to help you through that process.
Yeah.
Do you have any more info about scheduling?
No, I think that's pretty much it for scheduling, and we will
just like a summary.
Yeah, we will share like our emails. We'll share, our Houston line too. If you are Houston peeps and you want to get scheduled, so we will share that in the end, and so you'll have that, and it's also on our website. It's on our social media.
Yes.
So plenty of ways to access it.
So to continue on with the second half of this episode, we wanted to really get into mental health.
Okay.
What mental health is, why it is important, how it is defined,
right,
and talk about the influence of mental health and mental health well-being on college campuses.
Right.
So we did a little research.
Yeah.
Just a quick little research.
We had to.
And we found that the American Psychological Association has a definition for mental health, which I'm...
Of course. The big guys, the ones we have to go to.
And they defined mental health as a state of mind characterized by emotional well-being, good behavioral adjustment, relative freedom from anxiety and disabling symptoms, a capacity to establish constructive relationships and cope with the ordinary demands and stresses of life. Interesting.
Yeah.
When you read this definition, what were your thoughts?
Felt like it was very impactful. And as a mental health professional, I was like, ooh, okay, yeah. But as a person who might not know a lot about mental health, some of that might have gone over my head a little bit.
Yeah. There's a lot of commas in there.
The commas is what gets us every time.
There's a lot of commas and there's a lot of ands in there.
Right. But I think there are some very powerful words in there.
For sure.
Like in something that, as we do this podcast and as we talk more and more about mental health, is really defining what is emotional well-being. Right? Like, what does that look like? What does it mean to be mentally well?
Correct. And I have come across that in sessions with clients. Like, they know something is wrong or something doesn't feel right, or I'm having this symptom and it's making me not feel so great about myself. But what do I do about it, and what does it mean to have that emotional well-being?
Right. Yeah. These are the questions and things that we're going to dive into. Especially as, we have episodes that are topics that are specific, like, whether it's anxiety or imposter syndrome or all these other things, right? But I think the most important thing as we think about mental health, right? And even taking this definition and dissecting it is emotional well-being really boils down to, am I able to be aware of these emotions that I have, right? be able to sit with them, be able to accept these emotions, identify them for what they are, right? Almost like have this warm, comfy, like intimate relationship with them of, I know how this makes me feel in my body and in my mind. I know what thoughts this emotion might elicit, right?
Right. Or even, like you said, processing those emotions and what is a product of those emotions.
Right.
Are those emotions producing some type of negative core beliefs? Are they producing like unhealthy behaviors? And working on reframing those or trying something new.
Right.
Or even just exploring what's authentic for you.
Exactly. Right. But this awareness is key. Right. And so when you're emotionally well, you're able to accept, identify, process those emotions. You have these tools and strategies in place to process these emotions, to deal with these emotions, right? And prevent these negative symptoms from sometimes debilitating you, right?
Literally, yes.
And you're able to function daily and move forward in a way that's not inhibited.
Exactly.
By mental health struggles. And I'm just like, that is like goals, right?
Yep.
Like what a life, right? And something to like work towards.
Yes.
Is that almost sense of empowerment and peace that I have mental health struggles and I have these emotions, but I can get to a place where I can healthily process them, use some coping strategies and move forward.
Right. And when we're talking about this with college students, typically we see that exploring mental health, identifying those emotions or those stressors is a new skill. It's not usually developed or practiced or even talked about before you enter college.
Right. Yeah.
And so when you get in college and you're thrown into a very stressful situation, which is college.
Yeah. Yeah.
And these very rigorous programs, your mental health alarms start blasting.
Right. Yeah.
And you're like, what do I do?
Right.
What's going on? I have 5 bajillion essays, quizzes, and exams, and also I can't stop ruminating, like...
Yeah. There's a lot going on, and I think that is a great segue into why is it important for us to talk about mental health on a college university setting, and specifically with college students. And, you think about, like you said, when individuals are coming to college, and you even, like, we can even dissect it traditional and non-traditional, right? So traditional students are coming out of college, fresh out of high school, 17, 18-year-old little babies, right?
Little babies.
Life is crazy, right?
Yes, so
they're
crazy.
Developing and having to display this sense of responsibility and maybe independence for the first time. They might not be living with mom and dad anymore. They might be exploring who they are in terms of their sexual orientation or their sexual life in general, right? Like new friendships or lack of friendships,
or exploring their family of origins and how that impacts a lot of things.
Exactly. And then that's just like one layer, and you throw on the top of it of every culture has different expectations,
and we are a very diverse campus,
and we are diverse, right? And what does that look like for a student to have pressure from family members to go into certain careers, and this mindset of you have to keep trying harder and harder, you're never perfect, right? Or even the mindset of college is a waste of time, why are you doing this? You should be working in the family business,
right?
Or doing something else. There's so many pressures, right? And we could spend like probably 3 episodes just talking about all the cultures,
right,
and all the expectations. But again, this just signifies there's so many layers to this onion that is the struggles of college years.
And the purpose of each episode is to get into those specific layers.
Yeah.
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 Circling back to
We're squirreling.
We're
That's okay.
Squirrels. Okay. Circling back to the importance of mental health
Mm-hmm.
in college, we brought and researched some statistics. Okay.
We have research in front of us, folks, so bear with us.
Yes.
Because we didn't want to lie. We didn't want to try to remember
Yes.
this and get this wrong.
If you hear papers,
Yeah,
'cause there are
that's what we're
papers.
doing. We are like writing papers ourselves with all this. But yeah, so we found like a couple quotes of research that we really just wanted to share that just hone in more nails in the coffin of
To emphasize.
right, emphasize why mental health is needed. So one quote we found is college is a key developmental time. We know that, right? The age of onset for lifetime mental health problems also directly coincides with traditional college years, right? So you think about all the life struggles and adult struggles that are happening right at the same time that individuals are going into college,
Correct.
right? For traditional students. What this shows is 75% of lifetime mental health problems. So you think mental health problems that will be continuing, right? This will be something that you will be having to work on, manage your whole life, pretty much, right? The onset age of that is 24.
Major yikes.
But just right in the midst.
Literally.
Right in the midst of it.
Literally.
And so you even think about like the years before 24, right? Like this like almost progression of mental health struggles as they're like growing, right? And it's just like there's a lot going on at these times.
So much.
Right?
So much.
And so this is important. This is important that we have to talk about. Something that I even found today that came out that I was just like, I mean, it's great to know, but it's also very saddening, right? Is that this notion, what we know is like students are continuing to be expressive about their needs in terms of mental health resources and support, right?
Because when you're in college, most likely you're full-time in college.
Right.
Or you're working part-time with a full-time school schedule.
Or you're working 3 part-time jobs.
Exactly.
And going to school full-time.
So there's like 0 free time usually.
Yeah. Yes. And so
or limited resources.
Yeah, for real. So this was talking about, so between 2013 and 2018, right, even looking at the percentage of students, average age of 21, that were attempting suicide doubled. And the proportion of students that reported severe depression increased from 9 to 21%.
Yikes.
If you think about that, that's just in 5 years. That's a huge jump, right? So that was in 2018. But then when they reassessed in 2021, so almost a year ago, that survey showed that almost 73% of students have reported struggling with moderate or severe psychological distress. And approximately 70% of college presidents, so these are the people who are like head honchos of colleges and universities, right, across the nation.
College presidents.
Right. They have identified that student struggles with mental health is one of the top priorities right now, right? So if we're reading this research, what's the trend here?
Resources are needed.
Resources are needed. We have
Mental health is declining.
Mental health is declining, right? We know that the pandemic took a huge hit, but it was declining before that.
Exactly.
And the pandemic has only like exacerbated that. And so we have to talk about this. We have to advocate. We have to inform. We have to get to this place, like our mission says, of getting comfortable with these topics in these conversations. We have to accept who we are, the mental health struggles that we have, right? And the journey we're going to be on to work through those things, right?
Correct.
And we have to develop this awareness.
And I love that you touched on why, like, how this is part of our mission of this podcast.
Right.
Simply put, we want to just start and continue the conversation here on TWU.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
Across all campuses.
We have to. We have to.
Yes.
And the research shows that it is vital, right?
Literally.
So that's why we're doing this. That's why we're throwing research at you right now to really just hone in on why we're doing this. Like, this is not just something that we're like, oh, that'll be fun. It is fun. Don't get us wrong. I love talking about this. But the goal is to help increase this mental health awareness and advocacy. And to even just have an impact on one student would be so vital and important.
Literally. And part of our roles as counselors is to plant seeds.
We're planting seeds.
Planting little seeds of growth.
Just go into the soil.
Just go into the soil.
Water it a little bit.
Yes, a little water here and there. Let some sun.
Yeah.
That sunshine.
And then let it grow. Let it grow.
Hashtag grow.
And we'll see you soon. No, just kidding. Well, maybe we will. Maybe we won't. That's, another little segue, right? Like.
Well, I'm glad you talked about those two research articles and those statistics, just to really emphasize why it's important for us to have these conversations, and also provide it in a digestible way.
Right. You're in rigorous programs.
Yes.
You are having to retain so much information that I cannot even fathom. And so we know that. We don't want this to be more stressful or more like brain intensive where you're like having to write notes and feel like you're going to take a quiz later.
Correct.
We just want this to be a conversation that you can listen to. Maybe it allows you to feel heard. Maybe even for the first time, right? And you're like, okay, someone gets it, right? This makes me feel a little bit more like I'm not alone, right? And that I can have these conversations.
Another thing we want to highlight during the podcast are some resources for when you're in crisis.
Yes, crisis importante.
You can call 940-898-HELP. That's 940-898-4357. And that will connect you to a TWU crisis counselor. And they will assist you with, providing resources, helping you get back into your environment, into your body, provide those grounding skills, and help you through creating a plan, right? You can call that same number after business hours. So business hours are 8 to 5. So if you're in a crisis after 5 or before 8, call that same number and a crisis counselor will still assist you. However, this will not be a TWU counselor that we've connected with
It's an outside organization that allows us to have a 24/7 crisis phone line.
Yes.
But I mean, the perk of it is even if you call after hours, that organization will give our department a little, hey, just to let you know, this student called, they were in crisis, so that we can check up.
Correct.
On you and just make sure, like, are you okay? Do you have what you need? Maybe you want to talk about starting services with our department, or maybe you want outside services, right?
Love. And
yeah. Another one, we have a lot. Let me just clarify. There are so many hotlines out here.
And you can find them all on our website.
You can find them on our website. You can Google them. Like there's one specific to your area, whether you're in Denton County, you're in Harris County and Houston. But the one that I really did want to highlight, that kind of goes along with mental health is important, right? So the National Suicide Prevention Line actually recently just updated their normal, 10-digit phone number to just 3 digits.
Which I love.
Which is amazing.
Yes.
And so that 3-digit is now 988. But what this signifies, and it's so important, is just like when you have a physical ailment or emergency and you're calling 911, right?
Correct.
What this is doing, what the world and society is saying is, hey, our mental health is just as important as our physical health.
Yeah, literally.
So we're making this resource, this suicide prevention line that could save so many lives, just simple 3 digits for people to remember, just like you can remember 911. And you do. Yes. Right? So it's huge. It kind of goes along with, why is mental health important and really increasing that. But we just wanted to highlight these specific crisis informations. And again, you can find any of these on our website or Google. But hopefully this was helpful to you. Save these in your phone because you never know, not even just specifically for you, you never know who you're going to be around. And they might be experiencing a crisis and you're like, I already have this saved in my phone. I know who to call. Let's get you the help you need in this moment, right? So just a little tidbit on that.
Love that.
Yeah.
Yay. Another thing that we want to share before we wrap up this episode is what's to come.
Yes.
And I'm not sure if we shared this at the beginning, but the podcast and the blog will be a monthly release.
Yes, I don't think we did share that.
Yes, and each month we will be diving into those specific mental health topics. And we want this also to be a student-driven project. So if you have any topics or ideas that you want to learn more about or just hear a conversation about, let us know. Reach out to us.
Yeah.
Another thing that we want to start on the podcast as a tradition is
ending with a quote.
Yes.
And I'm really excited about this episode's quote.
Would you like to read it?
I would like to read it.
Okay, read it.
Okay. Should I read it with an accent? No, I'm just kidding. So our end quote for this episode, which we feel like really just kind of sums up everything we've been highlighting, the essence of mental health, why it's important, why we're even doing this podcast. This quote is by Glenn Close. And when we read it, we were just like, that's it. We don't even have to look any farther. And so this quote says, what mental health needs is more sunlight, more candor, and more unashamed conversation.
Period.
Mic drop. What a way to end this episode.
That's
right?
Yes, what a way to end it. And that just sums up this episode.
Yeah. So we thank you so much for listening to our first ever episode.
Yes, thank you for being a part of it.
Yes, first of many to come.
Yes, and we appreciate all feedback. And would love to hear, what these projects can do for you.
Yeah, what do you want to hear? What do you want to learn more about? That's the purpose of this. But we hope you stay tuned for next month's episode. Look out for our blog. Follow us on social media.
Yes.
And we will see you next time.
See you next time.
Bye.